Hello, we're going to look at S9 now, slope-intercept form, writing equation from a table. We're asked to fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. All that means is that every table has an equation that governs it. In other words, when you put in a value for x, you get a value for y. So we're going to find out what that rule is. So in previous videos, we looked at finding slope from a graph, finding slope from 2 points. Well, this is just an extension on that. If you notice here in this table, 0, 0, 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, these all can be written as ordered pairs because 0 would be x, 0 in the f of x column would be y. That's why we can say f of x, and y can be used interchangeably. The second ordered pair is 1 and 4. So this would be x and y. The next ordered pair is 2, 8. Again, 2 is x, 8 is y. And the last ordered pair in this table would be 3, 12. That would be x and y. So just like in the other videos where you found slope for 2 points, you could certainly do that here. So remember, you have y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You can pick any one of these ordered pairs. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use these two. So I've got 8 minus 4 and then 2 minus 1. So this became my x sub 1, y sub 1, my x sub 2, y sub 2. And I get 4 over 1. So my slope would be 4. Now if you look at the table, and I'm going to draw a part of the table here. Might as well draw the whole table. How about that? So I've got x values, f of x values also considered to be called y. So I've got 0, 0, 1, 4, 2, 8, and finally 3, 12. Well, if I look here, the change from 4 to 0 is 4. And the change from 1 to 0 is 1. And you have to be careful. These have to be constant. So the change from 8 to 4 is also 4. From 2 to 1, it's 1. From 12 to 8, it's 4. From 3 to 2, it's 1. So in the table, we can see that our slope would be 4, the change in y, divided by the change in x. So our answer for the slope here would be 4. Let's look at the next one. So in this table, we're going to have to follow a pattern. So it says fill in the missing number to complete the linear equation that gives the rule for this table. So in our table, we have 0, 40, 1, 41, 2, 42, and 3, 43. Now, if we look at this, our pattern that we can see here is that from the second to the first, we change it by 1. From 42 to 41, we change by 1. From 43 to 42, we change by 1. Also, on the x side, 1 to 0, we change by 1. 2 to 1, we change by 1. And 3 to 2, we change by 1. Now, here, if you look, it would appear that our slope would be 1. There's one caveat that we have to look at. We have to look at the y-intercept as well. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ways to do this. The first way to do it would be to say, okay, well, if my slope were 1, then I should be able to multiply 1 times my input and get out the same output that I have right there. So it should look like this if I've done everything correctly and there's nothing else to do. I should be able to say 40 is equal to 1 times 0. Well, that doesn't make sense. That can't be right. So what we have to look at next is, what is the pattern doing? So if I continue to look at this, I might say, okay, well, y is equal to, my slope is definitely 1, and I have my x, but I also could possibly have a y-intercept. So if I go back here to my table, I can say, okay, well, y is equal to 1 times 0, rather, I'm sorry, 40 is equal to 1 times 0. Well, 1 times 0 is 0, but I need to do something to this 0 so that this equals 40. Well, the only thing that I can do is add 40. So my equation of this line would be y is equal to x plus 40. So the way to think about this is, find your pattern for your slope, take your slope, multiply it by your input, it could be the input from any portion of this table, and see if you come out with your output. If you do, you're done. If you don't, then you need to decide what you are going to either add or subtract to get to your output. Now the third way is algebraic in nature. So this was way 1. This was way 2. Here's your other way. Well, I found my slope is 1. So I'm going to write y is equal to 1x, and I'm going to just write it in slope-intercept form. Then I'm going to pick an ordered pair. It doesn't matter which one. This time I'm going to use 141. Well, I know y is 41. 1 is my slope. X is 1. And I'm going to solve for b. So I have 41 is equal to 1 times 1, which is 1, plus b. I want b alone, so I'm going to look at my number here. And remember, I want to get it away from b, so I have to do the opposite operation. Right now it's being added to b. 1 is being added to b. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation, and I end up with 40 is equal to b. Well, that's all I needed. I already knew what my slope was because I figured it out over here. So I would rewrite my equation as, excuse me, I'm moving paper, y is equal to x plus 40, which is the same thing I got when I did it this way. So I'm just going to type in 40 there. Now that was a rather long introduction to introduce to you the different ways that you could do this. For the sake of time, I'm going to do them all algebraically. So if we look, here is my pattern. 4 minus 3 is 1. So let me write the table here. 5, 3, 6, 4, 7, 5, 8, 6. So this is x, and this is f of x, also known as y. So from 4 to 3, it's 1. From 5 to 4, it's 1. From 6 to 5, it's 1. From 6 to 5, it's 1. From 7 to 6, it's 1. From 8 to 7, it's 1. So we've established that our slope is 1. Now, I'm going to put my slope here, my x here, plus b. I'm going to pick an ordered pair, so I'm going to pick this ordered pair. I'm going to pick ordered pair 6, 4. So, in place of y, I'm going to put 4 equals 1 times 6 plus b. So 4 is equal to 6 plus b. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides of the equation, and I'm left with b is equal to negative 2. So my equation would be y is equal to 1x minus 2. I'm going to check it here. So if I do 1 multiplied by 5, I get 5. Minus 2, I get 3. So this would be correct. What I did was 1 multiplied by 5 minus 2. Well, that's 5 minus 2. Y is 3, and 3 does equal 3. So I know my answer is right. Let's try another. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Change from 2 to 1 is 1. So it looks like the change all the way down is 1. On the other side it's 1 as well. So I have y is equal to 1x plus b. Pick an ordered pair. I'm going to pick 4, 3. Substitute 3 for y. 1 times 4 plus b. So 3 is equal to 4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides of the equation because 4 was positive. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So therefore b is equal to negative 1. Our equation then would be y is equal to 1x minus 1. So we're just going to type in minus 1 there because we already see that we have the slope of 1 in front of the x. Let's try this one. And I think we'll call it a day on S9. If you need further instruction, then I'd be glad to sit with you. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and as our y, 25, 30, 35, 40. So our change here is from 30 to 25. Well, that's 5. 35 to 30 is 5. 40 to 35 is 5. And then on the x side, it's 1. So our slope would be 5. So we have y is equal to 5x plus b. Pick any ordered pair. I'm going to pick 735. So I have 35 is equal to 5 multiplied by 7 plus b. So 35 is equal to 35. Well, then that means b would be 0. So I don't need to write that. My equation would be y is equal to 5x. Have a good one.